The following program, The Russ Belville Show, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate to the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate any illegal activity and encourage all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers on The Russ Belville Show are their own, and The Russ Belville Show cannot be held legally responsible for their validity or reliability. Viewer discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. Then it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Yeah, I hear you had a question for me.
Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
We love it.
All right, good evening, Tokers and Tokettes. Welcome to the show. It is Thursday, November 7th, 2013, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. And speaking of somewhere in the world, I am somewhere in the world. I'm in Boise, Idaho, as a matter of fact, here at the Boise Hotel and Convention Center, spending a little bit of November time out here in the land of my birth. And interesting facts about the state of Idaho. If you don't know this, it is illegal to be a stoner in the state of Idaho. No, I don't mean illegal to possess marijuana or to smoke it. It is illegal to be a stoner. It is illegal to be in public under the influence of marijuana in the state of Idaho. And the way they define under the influence is if you got metabolites in your pee. So, you know, me, I smoke and smoke and smoke. I'm not going to have a clean pee test for probably 60 days. So I'm quite illegal right now. Also, in the state of Idaho, frequent and habitual drug users may not drive. And your medical marijuana card is all the evidence they need that you are a frequent drug user. So that's strike two for old Radical Russ driving out here in Idaho. But it's a beautiful state. My folks are here. I just had to come out and visit my folks. You can check out my Facebook page at Radical Russ on Facebook. Had a great discussion with my dad about hunting. If you like to read my rants about stuff other than marijuana, gotta check out my Facebook page sometime. Facebook.com/Radical Russ. Got all sorts of interesting things to say. All right, on today's show, on the Radical Rant, we are going to follow up on yesterday's Radical Rant, that awful, heinous abomination of a story that we got out of New Mexico, where this man was anally raped by the police and medical professionals, 6, 7, 8 times. We got more updates on that story, and this story just gets worse and worse and worse the more I learn about it. So stay tuned for that coming up at the end of the hour. At 5:30, we've rescheduled from yesterday. We were supposed to have Stephanie Joynes on. We were having some phone difficulties, but I think we got those cleared up, so we'll get her on. She's from the New Jersey Moms for Marijuana. We'll talk to her about activism and NYPD stop and frisk, race relations in the drug war, and so forth. Also, it's time for our Groovin' Thursday Daily Toker Tunes. We got a great tune coming up for you from Bago Schwago. We also got time for Behind the Headlines, and we'll be digging into the Marijuana is Safer campaign and how the alcohol industry is starting to rebel against it. All that and more coming up on the Russ Belville Show. Thanks for being here. Stick around.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa. Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
Cannabis Outreach Collective is an alternative health and wellness option located in Gladstone, Oregon, that serves patients in the Portland area and beyond. We are a full-service alternative health and wellness collective accommodating patients with natural, organic, holistic, and homeopathic remedies, nutritional guidance, advice, education, and medical cannabis, fully in accordance with Oregon OMMP law. You can find out more about Cannabis Outreach Collective on Facebook at COC503 or by emailing cannabisoutreachcollective503@gmail.com or by telephone at 503-853-1319. Check out our menu on Weed Maps and visit Cannabis Outreach Collective today.
This is your 420 Radio News for Thursday, November 7th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Colorado Hemp Task Force unveils regulations for legal farming, from the Denver Post. Colorado officials unveiled regulations Wednesday for legal hemp growing, setting the stage for a new agricultural industry. The state regulations call for farmers to register and pay a $200 annual fee, plus $1 per acre planted. Farms will be subject to inspections to make sure that the hemp plants contain no more than 0.3% THC. Christopher Boucher of the San Diego-based U.S. Hemp Oil said his company plans to build a facility to process hemp seed oil in the San Luis Valley. The plant initially could employ 6 to 8 workers and grow to 50 or 60 employees, depending on the acreage planted in Colorado. Barbara Filipponi, owner of Glenwood Springs-based Enviro Textiles, said she plans for 2 Western Slope facilities to make hemp-based industrial products. Industrial hemp in Oregon, state officials drafting rules for hemp production. This from the Oregonian. Oregon agricultural officials on Tuesday said they hope to have rules in place for the possibility of producing industrial hemp by the spring planting season. The Oregon Department of Agriculture has assembled a committee of policy officials and agriculture experts, including Russ Caro, head of the Oregon State University Crop and Soil Science Program, to draft rules for industrial hemp production. Jim Kramer, director of the Market Access and Certification Program area of the Department of Agriculture, said the agency's focus is crafting robust rules for hemp. Meanwhile, U.S. Representative Earl Blumenauer will host a public hemp forum Saturday in Portland. The Portland Democrat is one of the plant's biggest boosters in Congress. Oregon is one of the 7 states with laws that permit the production of industrial hemp, a non-intoxicating relative of marijuana grown for its sturdy fiber and seeds. The agency hopes to get clarification from the federal government on hemp by the time the rules are drafted. Bill Montgomery is prosecuting a medical pot patient for 1 piece of THC-infused candy, from PhoenixNewTimes.com. Medical marijuana users were warned, and now Maricopa County Attorney Bill Montgomery is carrying out his plan to harass qualified medical users for resin-infused edibles. Montgomery repeatedly has refused to say whether he is prosecuting patients for possession of marijuana concentrates who are otherwise acting within the boundaries of the 2010 Arizona Medical Marijuana Act. New Times has learned that his office is moving forward with at least one such case, a felony prosecution of a medical marijuana patient for possession of a single piece of infused candy. The debate hinges on the fact that the 2010 law makes usable marijuana legal for medical users and dispensaries, and that's defined as the dried flowers of the marijuana plant and any mixture or preparation thereof. Yet, Arizona statutes also contain a decades-old unscientific definition of something called cannabis, which is defined as the resin extracted from any part of the plant, and every compound, manufacture, salt, derivative, mixture, or preparation of such plants, its seeds, or its resins. The man says he bought a Tootsie Roll-like candy at a Compassion Club. Since then, his public defender has told him that a crime lab determined it contained no usable marijuana, only the resin of marijuana, which state law defines confusingly as cannabis. Today's drug war outrage: man dies in jail cell after misdemeanor pot offense, by Radley Balco on Huffington Post. Today's story is part drug war, part police indifference, and part callousness. It comes by way of a lawsuit filed by the family of Michael Safiati. Safiati failed to make a court date on a misdemeanor charge for pot possession. In July of last year, he surrendered himself to Snohomish County, Washington authorities, who promptly jailed him. When it came time for breakfast the following morning, Safiati is seen on video having a conversation with a guard while holding his tray. Presumably, he was inquiring about any dairy products in the meal. Safiati had a severe allergy. He's then seen taking a few bites of some oatmeal. Within a few minutes, Safiati is back at the guard desk using his inhaler. According to the legal claim, he asked to see a nurse. Instead, he was sent to his cell. He pressed his call button and was ignored, and after 35 minutes, he was found unconscious. Nurses performed CPR. He was pronounced dead a half hour later. This is your 420 Radio News for Thursday, November 7th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines to take a look at the Marijuana is Safer campaign and new complaints from the alcohol industry against it. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back.
When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you don't just want any attorney. You want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The law office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Lauren Vasquez knows the details of California marijuana law from both a personal and professional angle. Lauren Vasquez rose from the ranks of college normal activists to become one of the Bay Area's best marijuana lawyers. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer, or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com. The number again is 855-MMJ-LAWS, 855-665-5297 for your fired-up lawyer, Lauren Vasquez. Lauren Vasquez is an activist attorney you can trust. Call today.
I'm a reefer smoking man.
Wood Pipe Smoke Shop and Speakeasy is your source for cannabis community gear in southern Wisconsin. Owners Brian and Tammy Wood are located in Kendall, just outside of Madison, and they've got everything for the smoking enthusiast, including a full assortment of pipes, water pipes, hookahs, bubblers, one-hitters, and so much more. They're open noon to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday and can help you with your detoxification therapies as well. Call 608-466-7473 or email woodpipes@yahoo.com for more information. That's 608-466-7473 or email woodpipes@yahoo.com. And as always, go pack go. Marijuana legalization is always on at 420radio.org. Be sure to join us for our prime time lineup at 8 p.m. Pacific with all original live shows, beginning Monday at 8 p.m. with the new Viper Hour, the best in the early 20th century Viper jazz culture. On Tuesdays, we have Thrasher Sports at 8 p.m. with Radical Russ and Herb Thrasher discussing the latest sports news from the weekend and its intersection in the world of drugs. On Wednesdays at 8 p.m., it's Red Eyes Reggae Flashback with Brian the Red, the best of deep tracks from real reggae. Thursdays at 8 p.m., the latest episode of Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Rink, the best in R&B, soul, and disco from the 70s. And on Friday nights, live at 8 p.m., the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour, 2 hours of rock and metal, right here, live on 420radio.org.
Welcome back, folks, 15 after the hour. Time for us to go behind the headlines. And I caught this headline off the National Journal, and it caught me right away. It says, alcohol is really pissed off at marijuana right now. That's got an interesting title. But the lead paragraph in this says, marijuana has been giving alcohol a bad name. So contend booze lobbyists who are getting sick of an ad campaign that makes the claim that pot is safer than their beloved beverages. One alcohol industry insider representative said, quote, "We're not against legalization of marijuana. We just don't want to be vilified in the process. We don't want alcohol to be thrown under the bus, and we're going to fight to defend our industry when we're demonized." End quote. This is something I've been bringing up for a long time now, and it's a fine line we have to walk when it comes to this marijuana is safer campaign. Let me give you the two sides of this, and then I'll give you my point. The alcohol lobbyists say that it's a red herring to compare the two. Quote, "We believe it's misleading to compare marijuana to beer. Beer is distinctly different both as a product and an industry." Yeah, whatever. I don't give that much credence. In fact, Mason Tvert in the story makes a good point about it. He goes, that's like saying we can't compare the relative safety or nutrition between sushi and fried chicken, right? Just because they're different doesn't mean you can't compare them. They're both used for similar purposes. So it is a valid comparison to say that marijuana is safer than alcohol. Now, for the other side, Marijuana Policy Project takes issue with the idea that they're painting a false picture. In a recent op-ed for CNN, Dan Riffle, the director of federal policies, notes that according to the CDC, excessive alcohol use is the third leading lifestyle-related cause of death. Booze also plays a role in a third of all emergency room visits. So here's where we're going to have to get some nuance, folks. This is where we're going to have to really play this closely. Because to this point, the alcohol industry, by and large, hasn't been directly opposing any of our marijuana legalization initiatives or decrims or medical marijuana or anything like that. They pretty much stayed on the sidelines. Now, that's not to say that the alcohol industry in the past hasn't been a part of the Partnership for Drug-Free America or anti-drug ads or any of that stuff. There's plenty of evidence for that, but that's in a more general sense, right? They haven't gone directly after our legalization initiatives. And I fear that if we continue to demonize alcohol, they might start to see it as a threat and maybe start fighting against these marijuana initiatives, maybe forming anti-drug groups and, giving money to the sheriff's associations and all of that kind of stuff. So it is absolutely true that marijuana is safer than alcohol. We cannot deny that. Here's where I think the nuance needs to be. It's okay to say marijuana is safer than alcohol. It's not okay to say drinkers are bad. Now, here's the example that we can give you that's a pretty good test of this. In the billboards that have gone up, they had one in Oregon that MPP did. I think they did one in Denver and so on. They say marijuana is safer than alcohol. They had the ads, it doesn't give me hangovers and so on. Those are good to a point. But there was that one video ad, and we show it here on the network from time to time, where they do the compare and contrast between the smokers, the pot smokers and the drinkers. And they show the drinker as this big beer-bellied shirtless guy. And the next shot shows the drinker as an angry man it's implied that he's going to beat his wife. And then the third shot shows the woman with all the empty glasses around her, showing what a down and out drunk she is. Those are the ones that cross the line. We need beer drinkers, we need alcohol drinkers as our allies, not our enemies. We need to show that there's plenty good about marijuana that we can say without having to demonize the people who drink alcohol. Now, it's true. It's absolutely true. And you look at these stats as far as emergency room and violence and spousal abuse and all that kind of stuff, drunk driving. Yes, those things are true in the aggregate as a big picture. But if you point to an individual drinker, someone who's never smoked pot, and we're asking him to support our measure, it does us no favors to say, well, you're a beer drinker. You're one of those beer-bellied, wife-beating drunks, aren't you? And that's what I'm afraid some of these ad campaigns are going to start to do. They're going to start to turn people off into thinking that we're anti-alcohol. So it's something we need to be really careful about. Marijuana is safer than alcohol, but we don't need to go saying how dangerous alcohol is. Anyway, we'll talk about that on Facebook if you want to chat me up. Meantime, we got to take a break.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
You know Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs, home of the famous lighter leash. Herb Age Designs, get your Herb Age t-shirts and hoodies and show your pride. Herb Age Designs, we've got Frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs, we've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com. And follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter. We'll see you at this year's Hemp Fest. Crank it up!
Saludos desde la revista High Times. Te invitamos a venir a Ámsterdam desde el 24 al 28 de noviembre al 26 aniversario de nuestro Cannabis Cup, donde demostraremos las muchas variedades de marihuana y hachís en los coffee shops. También tendremos una exposición de productos, seminarios de sembradíos, conciertos en las noches y una ceremonia de premios donde honramos la mejor marihuana del mundo. ¡Vámonos!
Hey, how's it going? My name's Will. I don't work at a used record store. I don't own an iguana, although I'm sure they make great pets. I don't have dreadlocks or play the acoustic guitar. I can remember quite well, thank you, and no, I don't constantly have the munchies. When 420 comes around, I've still got 40 minutes of work left. I've never hit a girl on a bike with my car or shot my friend with a shotgun. I've never had to apologize for letting a girl I was watching drown in a pool while I was getting high because, duh, I wouldn't be getting high if I was around children. I'm a regular guy who works regular jobs, just like the majority of all Americans who use marijuana occasionally and responsibly. My name is Will, and I'm normal.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Groovin' Thursday, featuring rap, hip-hop, soul, and funk music. You can get downloads and more information about all our Daily Toker Tunes by visiting music.radicalruss.com. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tunes.
All right, everybody, welcome back. 24 after the hour. Coming to you live from Boise, Idaho. Apologies for no video today, but our bandwidth is kind of limited. I want to make sure you get the audio through. Normally at this time we'd be talking to Bago Schwago, but unfortunately we don't have him today either. Wasn't able to get him on the line, although our system is working okay, so I just don't know what's up with that. And I don't seem to have a new song for today either. So we're just going to go ahead and play the Super Weed song that I've already got loaded up. I can't tell you anything about the artist or the song itself, but it was a song that we have posted up on our 420 Radio main page, so you can check that out if you'd like some more information. Also, realize that if you are a VIP member of 420radio.org, you get access to the Daily Toker Tunes podcast. There's 5 of them, one for each day, and every day there's a new song that gets added to the library. And you can download those for your own iPod, your own Zune, or whatever media player you got, and enjoy the Toker Tunes that we play for you here every day. That's a 420radio.org. If you want to become a VIP, just click on the donate button. You can sign up for as low as $9.99 a month. Also, VIPs get access to our Hour 2 Toker Talk radio replays and discounts at our 420 Radio shop, where you can get our new Russ Belville Show pins, 420 Radio pins, downloads of Excel spreadsheets, and presentations, all with lots and lots of data about the drug war. So make sure you check that out at 420radio.org. We are listener supported. Without you, there is no us. So make sure that you sign up today and help support us. If you can give a little, you can keep this free for all the rest of the people who can't afford to. So please help us keep this information free. This is the most important battle of our generation. All right, let's get on to the tunes here. We'll have our Daily Toker Tune, Groovin' Thursday, and when we come back, we will have Stephanie Joynes. She'll be from the New Jersey Moms for Marijuana. We're going to talk a little bit about racism in the drug war, NYPD stop and frisk, and what got her involved in the marijuana reform movement. And on tomorrow, or tonight, later tonight, we should have some new Big Daddy Fink for you. So stay tuned for the funky roll.
Here's a weed song for your homies when you're riding, chronic blowing. Here's a weed song for your homies when you're riding, chronic blowing. Here's a weed My eyes low tied, Chinese Vera Wang. We blow trees like a motherfucking hurricane. With Teo, we keep a blunt lit crime. He said don't match me, like we had the same shit on. The whole high school class on my ass. They say the boys cash like the bowl packed ash. And I don't even walk around like I'm reckless. Cowboy, Texas, steak and egg breakfast. With the MacBook, writing new material. Had 3 bowls and one of them was cereal. I heard that joke the other day as I smoked my life away, filling guns with bouquets. Touche on that water, Bobby Boucher. Ooh, hey, kiss your daughter, it's a brand new day. Not cool, but I stay with 2 L's and J's. My weed's full of hair like head with toupee. Weed song for your homies when you're riding, chronic blowing. Here's a weed song for your homies when you're riding, chronic blowing. Here's a weed Me and some homies riding dirty around Smoketown. Everybody know me, I got chronic, might choke clowns. We'll make it big, party hard like movie stars. That's who we are, we roll good, no regular. Got a degree in chronology. Cigarillos, white boys, bonga, bow peace. Call on me to pearl a Dutchie. Smoking on exotic trees with no seeds. Got a strand I call Afghan from overseas. Don't kid with me or my Maui Wowie. Orange Kush, candy cane leaves by the peas. Keep my flow cold so the hoes might freeze. Either way, I'm blowing O's till I'm stone, can't breathe. Mash them back to back till my eyes just won't see. Put on a dope beat while we smoke a dope tree. Cruising with my homies, here's the song we gon' sing. Song for your homies when you're riding, chronic blowing. Here's a weed song for your homies when you're riding, chronic blowing. Here's a weed song for your homies when you're riding, chronic blowing. Here's a weed song for your homies when you're riding, chronic blowing. Here's a weed song.
Kom allemaal naar de Cannabis Cup Van 24 tot en met 28 november in Amsterdam in de Van Genthallen bij Amsterdam Roest. Verwacht alle coffeeshophouders uit Amsterdam die hun beste nieuwste producten laten zien. En hun wiet en hash wordt gekeurd door een panel aan deskundige wiet-experts die een uitreiking gaan doen wie de beste wiet en hash heeft van het land. Verder heel lekker eten, drinken, sapjes, toffe optredens in de Melkweg. Dus zorg dat je erbij bent. 26e editie van de Cannabis Cup.
Ever wonder how often to change your bong water? The most effective method for baking pot brownies? The best destinations for a ganja getaway? How to hide herb in your car? Whether to grow your own? How precisely to legalize it? Or how something as wonderful as marijuana ever got to be illegal in the first place? Finally, you can find all these answers and much more in the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook, featuring 420 things to do when you're stoned. Since 1974, High Times magazine has covered marijuana in all its aspects and wonders, from cultivation to legalization to the herb's enduring and exalted place in popular culture. Packed with inside information, the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook rolls all of this collected wisdom together into a single indispensable ganja guide, including an entertaining look at marijuana's history, profiles of herb-friendly travel destinations and festivals, favorite potluck recipes from the High Times staff, smoking skills, advocacy and activism, essential marijuana movies and songs, profiles of famous cannabis strains, comprehensive growing information, celebrity endorsements, and much more. This is truly, finally, the ultimate guide to green living.
Hi, tokers and tokettes. This is Radical Russ from 420radio.org and the Russ Belville Show, encouraging you to check out the 420radio.org shop. All the items in the 420 Radio shop help pay the bills here at 420 Radio, and they look great as well. You can get Russ Belville Show pins, 420 Radio pins, stickers, posters, and more, including downloadable products that also include my PowerPoint presentations and the acclaimed 420 Radio drug test for Excel. All that and more, plus discounts if you're a VIP member of 420radio.org. It's the 420 Radio.org shop helping to support listener-supported cannabis community radio right here at 420radio.org. Thanks for your support. Buy something today.
Activism begins with ACT. The Russ Belville Show features the stories of hardworking grassroots activists working for an end to prohibition in today's activist agenda.
All right, welcome back, everybody. 32 after the hour, and you can probably hear the phone ringing in the background as we try to get Stephanie Joynes on the line. She's with Moms for Marijuana in New Jersey. Well, I don't know what that obnoxious noise was. Sorry about that, folks. Still trying to reach Stephanie Joynes here. It seems like she picked it up, and then we got that obnoxious noise. So let's try that dial out one more time. Day 2 of trying to get to Stephanie Joynes. I don't know why this is so difficult, folks. It's just a phone number in New Jersey. Be able to pop up here, right? Stephanie Joynes from Moms for Marijuana in New Jersey coming up on the line as soon as we can get an answer.
Hello?
Hello, can you speak to Stephanie?
Hi.
Hi, Stephanie Joynes, Russ Belville here from the Russ Belville Show. How are you?
All right. How are you?
Doing fantastic, and I want to thank you for being on the show today.
No problem.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about your organization, Moms for Marijuana in New Jersey. How did you find out about Moms for Marijuana, and what made you want to be a part of that?
I've been a Mom for Marijuana since 2010. I was asked to step up in July to become the chapter leader because the previous chapter leader had health issues and she could no longer do it.
Gotcha. Okay, so you'd heard about the group, and it seemed like something you wanted to be allied with. What was the motivating factor? I mean, why stand up for marijuana? Why put yourself out there and take that risk?
I'm from New York, and as you know, every 37 seconds, people get arrested for marijuana. That doesn't make any sense. So you get arrested for marijuana, you now lose the opportunity for education because the felony arrest, you're no longer eligible for federal student aid. For the felony arrest, no longer eligible to get that basic post office job. For the felony arrest, you're no longer eligible to live in those better buildings, and then you're stuck living in those worst neighborhoods because you have a felony arrest. Or for a plant leave, I got tired of seeing my friends and my family walking down the street and the NYPD pull them over and stop and frisk. I just got tired of it. And, when I moved to New Jersey, I found out about for marijuana, and I liked them more so because they were grassroots.
Yeah.
They didn't pick sides. They didn't play two political allies. All they wanted to is re-educate people about the lie that we've been living for the last 40-something years.
Yeah. You mentioned the NYPD and the stop and frisk practices. We've been focusing on that a lot in our show about the massive racial disparity and the incredible amount of arrests that are going on there in New York City. We just recently had an election, and Bill de Blasio was elected mayor of New York. Do you anticipate that
Yes, New York, thank you for getting rid of Bloomberg, finally!
And so I was going to say, do you think this is going to help the stop and frisk? But I think I know your answer.
Judge Finland wanted to stop and frisk, but Bloomberg, before he left office, he just wanted to stick it to New Yorkers one more time and had her ruling overturned. Stop and frisk is very. I can't explain to people who don't live in New York how degrading it is. Do you know what it's like to walk down the block with your boyfriend and the police pull him away from you, push him up the side of a gate, fill him up, frisk him up, put him in handcuffs, all because he had a $10 bag of weed in front of your child, in front of your girlfriend? His mother's looking out the window. Do you know how degrading that is?
Yeah.
For a man?
Yeah, it is. It's all, and
okay, and it doesn't happen on Avenue and 34th Street and then on Park Avenue. It happens on University Avenue. It happens in Harlem. It happens in the Bronx. It happens in Brooklyn. It happens in parts of Queens. But it doesn't happen. So when that guy on CNN the other night was talking about it's for the good of the community, he's not from our community. He doesn't understand how, what is it, Don Lyman? He said, well, I live in New York and I appreciate it. You're not from New York, dude. You don't know how degrading it is. Have Don Lyman uptown in Harlem on 145th Street at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't think he'll be going on CNN talking about it's for the good of the community after that.
Yeah, no kidding about that. And this policy, this stop and frisk policy, the police commissioner has said he was going to do something about it, but nothing has happened. And one of the things, you mentioned how degrading it is, but it's also technically illegal. Marijuana is decriminalized in the state of New York, and the only way they're supposed to be able to go after you is if it's in the open. So what the cops do is they trick these guys, often young guys, to take the weed out of their pockets, and as soon as they do that, bam, that's what gets them cuffed.
Exactly, but honestly, they said now they're not supposed to stop you unless you're in the open. In New York, we're not stupid enough to walk down the block smoking weed. So it's still, that's the lie they're putting on their report. Oh, well, it was some suspicious activity and we found the weed. The suspicious activity is walking home from the train. The suspicious activity is coming out of the store. The suspicious activity is just minding your business and living your life.
Exactly. Well, the suspicious activity is walking in a certain neighborhood while brown. That's what the suspicious activity is.
Not in New York. It doesn't matter if you're brown. You could be Latino. It doesn't matter. In our neighborhood, as long as there's if you're a person of color, you're getting frisked. And if you're a privilege, you're not in our neighborhood.
Right. We're speaking with Stephanie Joynes. She's from Moms for Marijuana in New Jersey. And are you a mother yourself, Stephanie?
Yes, I have a 17-year-old.
Okay, so 17 years old. He's right at that age where kids are going to get stopped and harassed by the police. This is so that must be your major motivation for wanting to get involved with this, maybe just to protect your own family.
Well, I have a daughter, so not so much, but in the last 5 years since we lived in New Jersey, since she's been in high school, she's graduating this year. She has had countless friends have to cut their education short because they have to go into drug programs in New Jersey so they don't go to jail, or because one night they were hanging out and the police pulled the car over and they got caught with weed. So do you know what it's like when you're in high school and now your life is turned upside down because you either have to go in a drug program for a year or you have to get locked up?
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
It's
so they're ruining these people's lives. They're ruining these kids' lives even before they graduate from high school now.
Right, and then once you get that drug charge on your record, it follows you around for the rest of your life whenever you're trying to get, go to college or get a house or get a job.
Exactly. So basically, they're sabotaging you before you can even get yourself together.
Yeah. What is it like for you standing up as an advocate for this issue? Do you find people in the neighborhood understand what you're doing? Do you get any people that are against what you're doing?
Well, it depends. Like, my daughter is very supportive. My family is very supportive. I believe in medicinal marijuana because my grandmother died from multiple sclerosis. So my family understands how I feel about that. When I talk to people from my old neighborhood, I get kind of mixed reviews because there's people, the legal peddlers, they don't want it to be legalized because this is their job.
Yeah. And that's
basically
that's an aspect of this, I think, that that Moms for Marijuana and other reform groups need to pay attention to, is that, while we don't want people going to jail and we want to end the criminality of the marijuana plant, for a lot of people, especially people in the city, this is the only employment available.
Exactly. Think if we deschedule it and we repeal the current laws and we learn how to regulate it, more money will come into the economy that we can bring back manufacturing jobs. We can build our inner city with good paying, supportive, sustainable jobs where their only hope is not bringing weed in the street.
Yeah.
So we haven't had the opportunity to do this. In my lifetime, it hasn't been legal. So I can't tell someone who's sitting on the corner selling weed, hey, give it a chance. You might get a real good job, because I can't say, well, in my lifetime I seen it couple with once legal and now it's illegal. I'm trying to get it legal again. That never happened in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm hoping once we deschedule it, we repeal the current laws and we come to a federal uniform regulation that the money that is being made off of it will go into the community to help build up the community, to bring good, sustainable jobs into the community. I mean, Walmart is not an option in New York City where there's no Walmart.
Yeah, it's a good point. And this is something that is the important issue, and it's something that we've been touching on in the past couple of weeks here on the Russ Belville Show, and that is just this racism that's inherent in this drug war. As you mentioned earlier, it's not the people downtown, it's not the people in Park Avenue that are getting accosted over this. It's people of color, and it's eroding the relationship, if there was ever a relationship, but it's eroding that relationship that your neighborhoods should have with law enforcement. I mean, there is still crime, there is still violence, and we want cops to protect us from that. But when you're afraid of the cops, if you're afraid of them at all times, you're not likely to be the one that wants to call 911 when something really bad goes down.
Exactly, because right before we moved in the Bronx, there was a problem when the unskilled laborers, the undocumented workers would get paid on a Friday. They were getting mugged. The police were saying, well, you need to report it. These are the same men that are getting stopped and frisked.
Yeah.
Really? They're going to report getting mugged after they've been stopped and fixed several times.
Right. And people that don't want to call cops just because they're afraid that the cops, instead of trying to solve the crime you're calling about, are going to try to solve the crime they think you're committing. And that's just not good for our neighborhoods. It's not good for our communities. Stephanie Joynes, Moms for Marijuana, New Jersey. Before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to give people any contact information if they want to get in touch with you.
You can follow me on Twitter at mystuff09. You can like the New Jersey Moms for Marijuana page or Facebook.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Marijuana and alcohol are the two most popular recreational drugs in America. Marijuana smoking is non-toxic, relatively safe, and has a low risk of dependence. Alcohol drinking is potentially fatal, dangerous to society, and is quite addictive. Marijuana is safer, so why are we driving people to drink? That's the question of the new book, Marijuana is Safer, So Why Are We Driving People to Drink? By Paul Armentano, Mason Tvert, and Steve Fox. Visit Amazon.com or ChelseaGreen.com today to order your copy of Marijuana is Safer, or visit...
I stole from my little sister.
I got straight D's.
I left my ex-girlfriend 27 messages last night.
I made my mother cry.
I let people draw on me.
I ditched my friends and let them find their own way home.
I'm Sub Cool from Team Green Avenger. At TGAgenetics.com, we are working on the leading edge of medical strains. Our strains are rigorously tested for THC, CBD, THCV, and other critical cannabinoids. Know your grow. Check out our genetic diversity at TGAgenetics.com, the home of Jelly Bean, Jack the Ripper, Vortex, and other award-winning cannabis strains.
When I was in England, I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it, and didn't inhale, and never tried it again.
I think you'd probably be a lot cooler if you had, Mr. President.
I said, hey, do you have it going, kids? Sure would be a lot cooler if you did. Lie, don't hide it. Oh, lie, don't hide it. Just lie, don't.
You want answers? I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical rant. Well, if you were with us yesterday, you heard the awful story coming out of New Mexico. Actually, there's two of them coming out of New Mexico about police raping and torturing a man who rolled through a stop sign. I know, you're thinking, what? And if you were listening yesterday, you know the story, but I'm just going to recap this because there's some new developments in this, or at least some new discoveries on this, and I'm taking a lot of this information off of a website called popehat.com. And there are some legal bloggers out there, and they wrote a post, Ken White wrote a post called, "What is the quantum of proof necessary for police to rape and torture you in New Mexico?" So for those of you who missed the story from yesterday, a man by the name of David Eckert in Deming, New Mexico, was leaving a Walmart parking lot when he rolled through a stop sign. The parking lot stop sign as you go out onto the street, right? So it's not like he's in the road and ran a four-way stop or anything. This is a parking lot stop sign he ran through. Ran through the parking lot stop sign. Cop pulls him over. The cop, and this is just really frustrating. The cop suspects that this guy has drugs, brings a drug dog in. The drug dog alerts at the guy's driver's side seat. And the cop said the guy was fidgeting, nervous, and clenching his butt cheeks. So because of that, they believed that, naturally, he was storing drugs up his ass. So here is what went down. And again, we read this yesterday, but I'm going to read it again because we can't tell this story enough, people. Number one, by the way, they took him to a hospital. Before I get into this, they took him to a hospital to have doctors, do an anal cavity search on the guy. They got a warrant from a judge to do an anal cavity search on this guy. The first hospital wouldn't do it. The doctor's like, this is unethical. I'm not going to do this. So they took him to a hospital in the county next door. And this is what they did. Number one, Eckert's abdominal area was x-rayed. No narcotics were found. 2, doctors then performed an exam of Eckert's anus with their fingers. No narcotics were found. Number 3, doctors performed a second exam of Eckert's anus with their fingers. No narcotics were found. Because, that first one, you might have missed something. Number 4, doctors penetrated Eckert's anus to insert an enema. Eckert was forced to defecate in front of doctors and police officers. Eckert watched as doctors searched his stool. No narcotics were found. Number 5, doctors penetrated Eckert's anus to insert an enema a second time. Eckert was forced to defecate in front of doctors and police officers. Eckert watched as doctors searched his stool. No narcotics were found. 6, doctors penetrated Eckert's anus to insert an enema a third time. Eckert was forced to defecate in front of doctors and police officers. Eckert watched as doctors searched his stool. No narcotics were found. 7, doctors then x-rayed Eckert again. No narcotics were found. 8, doctors prepared Eckert for surgery, sedated him, and then performed a colonoscopy, where a scope with a camera was inserted into Eckert's anus, rectum, colon, and large intestines. No narcotics were found. Now, the whole drug law reform community is going bonkers over this. Drug Policy Alliance just put out an alert on this. There's, of course, a major federal lawsuit going through this. And the writer at Popat wants to point out that what the doctors and the police did here was rape and torture. And he lists the New Mexico statutes that describe what the actual definitions of rape in that state. And as we go through this, here is some of the new information. First of all, we have the warrant. We have a copy of the warrant and a copy of the hospital records for Mr. Eckert. The lawsuit being filed under the federal complaint is being filed against the city of Deming, New Mexico. Deming police officers Bobby Orozco, Robert Chavez, and Officer Hernandez. Hidalgo County Sheriff's Officers David Arredondo, Robert Rodriguez, and Patrick Green, Deputy DA Daniel Doherty, and Gila Regional Medical Center doctors Robert Wilcox and OKH Odocha. So want to make sure those names made it into the record, because these are the people who tortured this man for over 14 hours there, because a drug dog said that there was some smell on the seat of his car, and a cop thought he was clenching his butt cheeks. So, here's some more updates on this. The copy of the search warrant indicates that it was a brown 1998 Dodge, and the search warrant was to search David Eckert, included but not limited to his anal cavity. But before he applied to a judge for the warrant, Officer Chavez asked the Deputy DA, Daniel Doherty, for permission. Asking a Deputy DA for permission, in theory, prevents cops from seeking improper or deficient warrants. In theory. So this went through not just a judge, but also a DA who thought, oh, well, yeah, if there's a suspicious guy who might have drugs up his ass, take him to the hospital and shove a colonoscopy up there. Now, in the search warrant, this is the sum total of what this is Officer Chavez's search warrant request to the judge, who then gave him the warrant to torture this guy and so on. Officer Robert Chavez, was contacted by Sergeant Detective Orozco in reference to a Dodge pickup truck that failed to stop. I was traveling eastbound on Pine Street, located him, and I conducted a traffic stop. I approached the driver, informed him for the reason of the stop. While speaking with Mr. Eckert, I did notice that he was avoiding eye contact with me as I asked him for his driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance. As Mr. Eckert handed me the documents that were requested, I did notice his left hand began to shake, at which time I had Mr. Eckert step out of the vehicle. Once outside of the vehicle, Mr. Eckert was asked if he had any weapons or anything else that might harm me, which he stated no. I then conducted a Terry pat-down. By the way, that Terry is the case, the Supreme Court case that says that cops can pat you down to see if there's an obvious weapon that you might hurt them with. So we did the Terry pat-down on Mr. Eckert to search for weapons, and none were found. While Mr. Eckert was standing outside of his vehicle, I did notice his posture to be erect, and he kept his legs together. A short time later, I informed Mr. Eckert that a uniformed patrol officer was coming to issue him a citation for the stop sign violation. Officer Villegas did arrive and issued Mr. Eckert his citation for stop sign violation. Mr. Eckert was then informed he was free to go. Stop! That point right there is where this story should end. People, how many times do I have to tell you when the cops give you the ticket and say you are free to go, fucking leave? When they say you have the right to go, when you're free to go, you go. You don't answer any more questions. You don't sit there and chat with the cop. This is a technique cops are taught that's called the rolling no. The whole idea is once they've given you that ticket and you're free to go, they're not subject to any of the certain rules of how they conduct themselves. From that point on, it's just a casual chat. And remember, anything you say or do can be used against you. They love it when you start chatting with them after they've given you the ticket. But Mr. Eckert doesn't listen to my show. So it continues. As Mr. Eckert turned to walk back toward his vehicle, I asked him for verbal consent to search his vehicle for any illegal narcotics and or weapons. At the time, he did give consent. Don't consent to a search. Just say no. We'll continue. I then asked Mr. Eckert if I could search his person for any illegal narcotics and or weapons. At that time, he stated that he had a problem with me searching his person. I then informed Mr. Eckert that an open-air search was going to be conducted on the vehicle and reminded him that he had given verbal consent to search the vehicle as well. Hidalgo County K-9 officer walked his K-9 around the vehicle, which the K-9 alerted to the driver's side of the vehicle. A short time later, the K-9 made entry into the cab of the vehicle and once again alerted to the driver's side seat. Mr. Eckert was then informed of the K-9 alerting to the seat and was informed that a search warrant was going to be obtained. Hidalgo County K-9 officer did inform me that he had dealt with Mr. Eckert on a previous case and stated that Mr. Eckert was known to insert drugs into his anal cavity and had been caught in Hidalgo County with drugs in his anal cavity. Mr. Eckert was then placed into investigative detention and was transported to the Deming Police Department. Mr. Eckert's vehicle was tagged for evidence and transferred to the impound lot. At approximately 1:40 hours, I contacted I'm sorry, that's not right. But I contacted the deputy DA, informed him of the incident. The deputy DA approved the pursuit of a search warrant and also for Mr. Eckert's anal cavity. So let's recap this, folks. Here's the factors that a cop needs in order to subject you to 14 hours of anal rape. Your hands are shaking. You avoid eye contact. You refuse a search of your person. You stand erect with your legs together. And a drug dog sniffs out your seat, and an unidentified canine officer, without any specificity, says that Eckert had previously hidden drugs in his ass. That's it. This really comes down to three things, people. A subjective officer impression that the suspect looked nervous, a drug dog alerting on the seat, and an unnamed cop making unspecific claims that he had previously hidden drugs. We're going to take this into hour two, folks, because I am not even close to done with this story. We're going to tear apart this search warrant. We're going to talk a little bit about the law. And please, when they say you're free to go, go. When they ask if they want to say that's all the time we got for hour one. Thanks for joining us, folks. We're back with hour two in just a second. From Boise, Idaho, I am Radical Russ for 420 Radio. Glad you be here, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.